You're muted.
You're muted, John.
Yeah, thank you. I knew that. I just wanted to read that too. So, so with that being said, guys, welcome to the show. We're actually doing our Frenchie's movie Muggle. I'm gonna go on ahead and let Frenchie explain the rules and everything because it's gonna be a little bit different show than we normally do, but it's gonna be all fun and games over here at Movie Lovers Unite.
Well, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. We kind of did an iteration back in like almost a year and a half ago now.
Yep.
The first presence in your show. But I decided to do a full-fledged game because apparently I'm on a roll these days, and why not? And basically, I always wanted to be that movie mogul guy that gets pitch ideas and he makes multi-million dollar decisions. So I said to myself, hey, I can't be that. At least I'll sim it, right? So I chose my best buddies here, John, Charlie, Andrew, and Dagan, to play along with me. And this is how it works. There's 3 rounds. I will pick the winner. And even if someone leads with 2 wins, I want to see who has at least 1 win. And they're going to have to pitch me something I sent them beforehand, the casting, the storyline, and see which one tickles my fancy more. All right, so without further ado, let's start with round 1. Casting the next Spider-Man movie. This Spider-Man movie is called Morales. And they had to cast Miles Morales, Kingpin, Hob Goblin, also cast Mary Jane and Aunt May. And they have to pitch me a 2-minute storyline description to really see if it makes sense. It's good to cast, but at least have to have the story for me to buy your product. All right, so John, let's start with you for your Morales casting. Who did you pick?
Okay, so I picked Caleb McCollin from Stranger Things to be Miles Morales.
Okay.
So I had a hard time trying to pick and decide on the age group that I wanted to be in. So I'm like, what did I see recently that has a young kid? So I'm like, you know what? Let's go in and go with Caleb. Then I got Hob Goblin, played by Michael C. Hall from Dexter.
Oh, that is interesting. Okay.
So then, of course, I got Catherine McNorma to play Mary Jane.
Who's that?
She actually played in some small stuff and things like that, mostly some indie stuff that I've actually recognized her from. Then I got Aunt May, played by Meryl Streep.
Wow.
So,
wow. Okay. Wait.
That was the same one as me. I did that too. Yes.
Are you serious? Wow. By the way, my keyboard doesn't work for some odd reason. I was gonna write in the comments, but John, could you share screen? At least if there's actors we don't know per name, see them with the face. Yeah. All right, so I have to ask, why her for Aunt May? What kind of Aunt May are you trying to bring here?
Okay, here's the thing. I didn't want the old Aunt May, like she's going to bingo, sitting at home, not doing anything. And then also too, I'm like, I don't want to go with the over sexual Aunt May or anything like that, or being sexualized Aunt May or anything like that.
Marissa Tomei is perfect. I'm just saying.
Yes, I do agree with you. But I want to do a little bit more classy. I wanted to do an Aunt May that we haven't seen before, out of the box kind of thinking, because who would actually think that Meryl Streep would actually sign on to play Aunt May? So
Meryl Streep as Aunt May makes me feel like a cool Aunt May that has aged but is still connected with the young world.
Exactly. And also too, I think that she would actually be great to give Miles some advice and stuff like that, but I'm not going to pitch my plot line on that. But I do have a couple of side characters though too with it.
You're allowed 2, huh?
Yeah. I got Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin, which is no surprise. And then I also have Matt Murdock, played by Charlie Cox. So
Kingpin wasn't a side character, John. He was an actual main cast.
Well, still, in this one, he's a side character because of the fact he's actually a villain. You have your main cast, who's actually Aunt May. You have your other stuff, things like that. But this is my universe though. But style.
All right, so you done with your casting, John?
Yep, I'm good.
Charlie.
Oh,
you're
I thought
up
you said you had
next.
her too. No.
Okay. I have my Miles Morales kind of adultish. So I have John David Washington as Miles. I think he'd be perfect for him. I got Kingpin because he's listed in the main cast as Vincent D'Onofrio because I don't think there's anybody else that can play him. I have Taron Egerton playing Hob Goblin. I think he's kind of young, but he's kind of that, and I think he might bring that they act because he's done action movies before, and he's been great in it. So I figured he'd be great. I went Charlize Theron for Aunt May, somebody that's kind of old, but yet she can she can still fight. And then I think in this story, she's gonna have to fight in a sense. I went Jennifer Lawrence for Mary Jane.
Before you go to Jennifer Lawrence, what that reminds me, the Aunt May with Charlize Theron, it feels like the equivalent, a bit of the Butler, in the sense that, especially the recent iterations of Alfred, he can kick ass, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's there to assist. He's there from the get go. That kind of Charlize Theron feels like that person that was in the chair helping Peter Parker, right? It doesn't feel like the Aunt May that was not obscure of who he was.
Yeah. So I wanted Aunt May. I don't want her to be old and like frail. I'm like, and I kind of wanted to be in the same. Like I think she's around the same age as Marissa Tomei, maybe a little bit younger. But I figured Charlize Theron was being there because she's not going to stand in the sidelines. She wants to get in on the action because she's a badass. I had Jennifer Lawrence as Mary Jane. My two side characters, I brought Peter Parker back in the best Peter Parker. Tobey Maguire, he's back in this. And then I think I have Gwen Stacy too, and I have Haley Steinfeld playing her.
That's interesting. Why did you pick her?
I don't know. I just remember like I think my storyline's gonna be similar to the ones in Into the Spider-Verse because Haley Steinfeld voiced Spider-Gwen in that one. So I just figured somebody like this some quick at the top of my head. I just had to pick it because she's technically still alive. Emma Stone isn't.
What about you, Andrew?
Okay, so I did have some same casting as John. I both had D'Onofrio as Kingpin. I thought he did a great job during Daredevil, and no reason why not reprise the role. And I also had Meryl Streep as Aunt May. I was originally thinking maybe towards Helen Mirren, but she's had too many action movies where she's kind of done that role. So I like Meryl Streep is kind of entering the universe. And so then I have I went the obvious for Miles Morales, Donald Glover. He's always wanted to play Spider-Man, always wanted this role, and he definitely has the acting chops for it. Hob Goblin, I kind of went on a little play on the original Spider-Man and went Dave Franco.
Okay.
He fits the age, and I think he would do a good job with that as the younger version. And then for Mary Jane, the love interest for Miles, I went with Janelle Monáe. And
wait, I think I know what it is. John, bring out his pick. I'm curious.
Okay, Janelle Monáe. Yeah, she's a singer / actress. She's been in, I believe, Hidden Figures among other films.
Spell her name for me real quick, and I'll pull it up.
Janelle, I believe. And then I'd have to look at
I
her.
see her. Got it.
Okay.
Okay, I can definitely see why you picked her. She definitely has some sass to her. Let's see.
Oh, for sure. Even on her music videos, on her acting roles, yeah, she definitely is gonna. And then while you're pulling that up, Jameson, I just went for the real life Jameson and went with Joe Rogan. And then we'll sign Edgar Wright to direct.
Interesting.
Well, I didn't know we needed a director for this.
Well, we didn't. I just said so instead of an actor as one of my roles, I threw in a director.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right, Dagan.
Yeah, it's funny because you guys have a lot of the same names that I do on my list, and some of them are actually in different roles. I went strictly MCU here. I figured I was going to go with sort of the introduction of Miles Morales and him getting his own movie in the context of what we've seen already in the MCU. And obviously, there's a whole bunch of multiverse stuff that we haven't get into yet. So, this pitch may change, potentially change later on down the line. But I also have Caleb McLaughlin as my Miles Morales, same as John from Stranger Things. I have Donald Glover, but I have him as Prowler / Aaron Davis, which is his character that he's shown up as already in the MCU. I have Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin, also somebody that I'd like to see come back. I guess those Daredevil, the Marvel Netflix shows aren't really considered canon anymore, so I'd like to have him get his actual shot in the MCU as that character. And then obviously, since we're keeping it MCU, I have Marissa Tomei as Aunt May. I have Zendaya as MJ. And for Hob Goblin, I went with Bill Hader. And this is a comic book version of Hob Goblin, not necessarily Norman Osborn's son. This is the Roderick Kingsley version of the Hob Goblin right? From. Yeah, that's the one that I was kind of basing this off, sort of more from the comics. So that's what I have so far. And I also threw in Haley Steinfeld as Kate Bishop to show up. And she's sort of the love interest of Miles a little bit in the comics and somebody that could potentially recruit him to join the Young Avengers. So that's what I got so far.
Interesting. All right, John, give me that 2-minute pitch. What creative juices have you been flowing?
Okay, first of all, I wanted to say this. I did cast J. Jonah Jameson, and I Got Ice Cube as J. Jonah.
Oh, nice.
So I decided to do something different because this is actually going to be a little bit different, Frenchie. This is actually going to be a time-traveling type of movie. Basically, this is the universe that's just set from Miles Morales. This is not going to be connected in with anything. This is like an Elseworld kind of thing. Pretty much after getting zapped by Kingpin with his collider, Miles finds himself going through other parallels, and also by then he's actually being disintegrated and everything else, and next thing you know, he's on another Earth. But that Earth, everybody knows him as Miles Morales. It's just that he doesn't know everybody else and everything, basically.
So he's already popular.
Yeah, he's already popular. He already has a thing going on and everything. And so they already know who Spider-Man is and stuff like that. Miles is Spider-Man, of course. Then, of course, Kingpin is actually hiring Hob Goblin to go ahead and try and take out Spider-Man. And then also, too, Kingpin's also hiring J. Jonah Jameson to try and manipulate who Peter Parker is, trying to catch his identity. Also, too, trying to frame him for certain things that Peter didn't even do. And
why is he trying to kill him?
Because of the fact that while he was actually doing a report for J. Jonah Jameson and everything, this winds up happening. Miles winds up stopping the Kingpin from the Yakuza with selling microchips to the Yakuza. So, therefore, Kingpin actually knew that there was actually a reporter on the scene, but he didn't know that it was actually Spider-Man himself. So he connected the fact that Miles worked for the Daily Bugle and everything, worked for J. Jonah. So therefore, he winds up blackmailing J. Jonah and everything, and therefore now J. Jonah has to go ahead and work for Kingpin and try and run that report on him.
Okay. And what's the relationship with Aunt May?
Aunt May... Okay. But first off, let me just go on and talk about Mary Jane for a minute, though, too. And then I'll get into Aunt May. Basically, he has to try and convince Mary Jane that he's actually from another Earth. And he's trying to go ahead and get back to the Earth that he is from. And then, of course, since he's already popular and everything, since they actually know who he is, Mary Jane's like, no, you're not actually from another Earth. Something must have happened while you went to sleep or something. You're actually acting a little bit more wacko than what you normally are. You're not from another Earth. You're from this Earth. There's only one Earth. How can there be more than one Earth?
Yeah, okay.
And then, so anyways, then after that, he goes on ahead and sees Aunt May and everything at her apartment. And he winds up trying to get advice from Aunt May and trying to convince her that he's actually from another Earth, trying to figure out what would Peter Parker do in that situation. She goes, "Who's Peter?" So Peter's not even connected into this either. And she doesn't even know. And she knows Miles, but she's like, "Why is the guy from Daily Bugle?
Right.
Why is he even here?"
You got to wrap up. So
So
the last 30 seconds. Is there anything else you want to add in?
Pretty much after that winds up happening, that's when, of course, the whole entire shit show happens. Basically, what winds up happening is this: you have Kingpin that hired Hob Goblin. Hob Goblin goes ahead and tries to take out Miles, and then you also have the Daily Bugle doing everything at one same time.
All right, perfect. Charlie, what's your pitch?
Okay, so mine, I'm doing multiverse. So in the one world, Miles Morales he's adult, but he witnessed Kingpin killing his girlfriend Gwen Stacy. So sorry, Haley, you're that. So Kingpin kisses. So Miles Morales has been on a vengeful to take out Kingpin, while in another world. You have the Aunt May, Charlize Theron, Jennifer Lawrence, and Peter Parker taking on Hobgoblin, and Hobgoblin chucks one of his bombs on this electrical grid or whatever, and then this is mixed in with Loki screwing up the timeline. So a spark in the multiverse hits that sucks in Hobgoblin, Peter Parker, Mary Jane, all into Miles Morales' world. So while Miles Morales is trying to take on Kingpin, and then while he's like infiltrating Kingpin's lair, he notices Peter there, and he goes, "Who are you?" So and then eventually something happens where Kingpin's all pissed off, and he's like, "All right, we got to team up." Like a Hobgoblin and Kingpin have to team up to take out the Miles Morales and Peter and his team. And Charlize Theron actually has she has a fight scene with Kingpin in this one. I'm like I said, Aunt May's getting in the action. So eventually, it's the two sides have to team up and take out the other side. Again, it's a multiverse thing. Again, this is on the fly, but yeah.
I got a question, and maybe like a possible 30-second answer for that one. How much screen time does Aunt May have? Are we talking like 10%, 90%?
I mean, she's in it is so about 70%, maybe 70, between 70 and 90. Like
So
she's in it a lot longer. She's in it a lot longer than the old Aunt May's. She's in it a lot longer than Marissa Tomei was. Like she's a big part of this because she sees Kingpin like beating up Peter, and she's like, oh, like she ain't gonna let that happen. So she tries to fight Kingpin. Does it work out? I don't know. But I think she's in it a lot, so she's a pivotal part of the story because I don't want her to be on the sidelines because that's not who Charlize Theron's character really is.
All right, and you, Andrew, what's your pitch?
Okay, so my pitch is more that Morales is more just your typical Spider-Man movie, except it's Miles Morales instead of Peter Parker. This way, you get over the whole controversy of, oh, you can't have a black Peter Parker. You know what? Oh, it's just a different character named Miles Morales. So now we're good on that end. So, but they're older. So we're going to take kind of some of what was the plot of the first video game where Dave Franco, aka Hobgoblin, has a terminal illness and goes away, but Morales is just told that he's studying abroad, but he's actually going to gain powers. And while he's being cured of his illness, he does so by getting financed by Kingpin. And so that's why Kingpin has like his thumb basically on the Hobgoblin of, you owe me all this money, so you must do my bidding. And so in this instance, it's actually Spider-Man that really wants to know who Hobgoblin is and really is annoyed that he's like taking away the reputation of New York City as well as his reputation because he can't catch him. And so he's really going hard for Hobgoblin instead of Hobgoblin really wanting to kill Spider-Man. He's just really he has a personal grudge against Hobgoblin and can't deal with, and will have to later deal with the fact that it is his old friend.
Andrew, if you could compare the style of the movie you have in your head to a current movie already existing, what vibe would you give it?
I guess more in the early vibe. It's definitely on the more fun side than on the Daredevil side. So it's on the lighter end, I'd say, but still, action packed. So kind of the original Raimi Spider-Man vibe.
Okay. And what about you, Dagan?
Yeah, so I was debating in my head whether or not I was going to go here with this pitch, but I think I'm going to do this. So this movie could very well take place 10 years or 20 years or even a lot further on down the line than where we are right now in the MCU. But basically what happens is, so Miles Morales gets the powers from the spider that his uncle is experimenting on, trying to recreate the what was it called? The formula that created Spider-Man. So as he's staying with his uncle, shit hits the fan, and he witnesses, after he gets his powers, he witnesses the death of Peter Parker at the hands of Hob Goblin and Kingpin. So you have a very massive moment that happens where Tom Holland's Spider-Man bites the dust here, and so you have Mary Jane and Zendaya and Marissa Tomei as Aunt May, and so there's this very emotional funeral scene where they basically have to be like, pass the torch on to Miles Morales as the next Spider-Man, and be like, okay, it's up to you now, kid. This is on you. Meanwhile, he's dealing with that and feeling like he could have done more in that moment where Spider-Man is killed. The first Spider-Man is killed. And so he then investigates sort of what's going on with this sort of crime scene in New York, and also finds out that his uncle that he's been staying with this entire time is also directly involved with the death of Spider-Man. And that is, of course,
I have a question.
The Prowler. Yeah.
So as a movie head, I have to think I'm gonna get a lot of critique if I just solely what you explained to me sounds like Spider-Verse, right? Just
Yeah,
on a
it's similar.
live screen. So what is gonna differentiate the story from what we already have in animation form?
Yeah, I think the biggest difference is that this is, since we already had all the multiverse stuff happen with Loki and with Spider-Man No Way Home and everything there, this is not going to deal with the multiverse. This is going to be very much grounded in one universe, in Miles' universe, and sort of it's definitely more grounded and grittier in terms of the crime scene that's going on. That's starting to take over New York with the Kingpin and with the Hob Goblin. And so it's much more focused on that and sort of his how do I avenge the death of Peter Parker with the help of also Kate Bishop as well can kind of show up here. And even if she's a little older, it's fine. She's still young enough that it's not going to be that big of an age gap if you do a sort of romance angle there. Even if it is 10 years in the future. So I would say because I think I would envision Miles Morales to be in his early to mid 20s here in this movie.
All right. So for me right now, I have between two people. I'm gonna ask a question to those two people. That's pretty much gonna determine the role, who's gonna win. Sorry. So Charlie, same question from ASG. If there's a movie you can pick there, it doesn't have to be Spider-Man. It's like Joker used Scorsese, right? So if there's a movie you can influence from to kind of play with your vision, which movie would that be?
I think in terms it might be a mix of two, a little bit Tarantino in a sense, because there's gonna be this is not your typical Spider-Man movie. This is gonna be kind of an adult one. So in Tarantino, in terms of the brutal death of Haley Steinfeld, Kingpin brutally murders Gwen in front of Miles. So a little bit Tarantino, and then maybe a little bit mainly maybe about in terms of the violence Tarantino, but in terms of a superhero movie, James Gunn, between those two in a sense.
All right, and Andrew, for you, could you describe me a bit of what Act 3 would look like?
What Act 3 would look like?
Yeah.
So by Act 3, Miles Morales would find out that the Hobgoblin is his friend, and then he would have to. There would be his debate of whether it would be almost like Fast and Furious having to determine if you'd let him go after determining his identity.
All right. So for me, my winner for round one is Charlie. And one of the winning points for me was Aunt May, Charlize Theron, 70% of the movie. I love that idea that there is rumors back in the day of a badass Aunt May, right? They're going to maybe do a movie. I actually didn't find that was a stupid idea. If you can do it with Alfred, there's a way you can do it with Aunt May. And with Charlize Theron, not as her own movie, but can really add a supporting role and change a bit how we see Aunt May. It's something I'm in for. But then the movie you used, for me, I see the clear vision. That's the one I'm buying for this round. All right. So congratulations, you're up a point. Hey, you're good at my game, Charlie. Are you gonna win it again?
I don't know. We'll see how my next two do. I mean, if you think this one's outrageous, wait till my Die Hard one.
Oh God. All right. So round two, they must create a cast for Tarantino's last movie in his career. It's one and done. That's it. He's not coming back. They have free reign on genre, cast, and the number of characters are open. They just have to do the most outrageous, awesome final goodbye to Quentin Tarantino, and they have to sell it to me. So let's go counterclockwise, and let's start with Dagan.
All right. So this one's been rumored as one of his potential final movies, and I'll be very interested to see if anybody else has also pitched this movie. It's Kill Bill Volume 3, and it is the final part of we'll call it the Bride trilogy. However, this time, the cast is led by none other than Uma Thurman's real-life daughter herself, Maya Hawke, as BB, or Beatrix Kiddo Jr., whatever you want to call her. We also have Uma Thurman returning, and in a much reduced, smaller role as sort of the mentor to her daughter. And we also have Christoph Waltz as like sort of the new Bill, if you would. He's sort of leading this, similar to what we had with the first two movies, this very elite group of assassins. Also, Margot Robbie in there. We've seen how great she was in Once Upon a Time in America. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And Brad Pitt is another one of the assassins. So you have an elite lineup of actors. Throw our buddy Sam Levine in there as well. Another like sort of really old, grizzled sort of assassin that you could put in there. We said Donald Glover earlier, no relation. Danny Glover, I think, would be somebody that would be really interesting to work with Tarantino.
Dagan,
yes.
Right before, could you remind me who plays the daughter?
In the original movies?
No, in your version.
Maya Hawke.
Could you pull that out? Because I'm trying to think of who she is, but I can't have a picture.
She was in Stranger Things. She played
Stranger Things.
Season 3, I think.
Yep, she's briefly in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman's real-life daughter.
Nah, it doesn't tell me anything.
And then the other interesting casting that I'll throw in there as well, which you can pull up there, John, when you get the chance, is Amanda Stenberg, an up-and-coming actress. She is going to be playing Nikki, who is the daughter of Vivica A. Fox's character that gets killed off at the beginning of part 2. So you have a revenge angle over there, and I also envision her as part of New Bill's sort of group of assassins. She might be the first one to come after Beatrix Kiddo. So I envision this as very much so that would be Vivica A. Fox's daughter, beautiful actress, and then Maya Hawke, who has been in Stranger Things, and if you just put Maya Hawke in there, it should be one of the first to come up. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I like her. Okay.
Yeah. So she definitely looks a lot like Uma Thurman, and and then that would be the actor. So I envision some big showdown between Nikki and BB here in this film.
All right. So I'll get back to you. I'll ask you a question as well. But before that, let's go to Andrew. What's your pitch?
Okay, my pitch is that Tarantino likes to do a bunch of different genres, and the one genre I think he really hasn't touched is the mafia genre. So I'm gonna do a version, or he's gonna do a version of Scarface where Al Capone wins. So it's basically going to be his version of the Al Capone story, except Al Capone's not going to go down for tax evasion because it's Tarantino and he likes to mess with reality. So for Al Capone, you'll have to look this guy up. I'll go with Enrico Colantoni, who's the guy from Just Shoot Me. Let me see if I can.
You might need to put that name in the private chat there.
Yeah. That's why. But basically, he was. I mostly think of him as the bad guy in Person of Interest, or one of the bad guys in Person of Interest.
Oh, okay.
I haven't seen that one.
But there will be many of his old favorites in this movie, from Harvey Keitel, Samuel L. Jackson, Uma Thurman, Christoph Waltz, but they'll all be playing side characters to Al Capone, and this will be basically an Al Capone story, similar to Scarface or Goodfellas or that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Interesting.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Did you add anything else to add?
No, it's just about it. Take history, make it not history, but then still make it a genre film is the concept.
History, yeah. All right, cool. What about you, Charlie?
I was leaning towards the Kill Bill 3 route. However, this is something I personally want. Tarantino's never done a comic book movie. I want him to do Blade. Because I think the new Blade's not going to be good. I want him to do Blade. This is what I got. I got John David Washington plays a new Blade. I got Denzel as Whistler. Father-son. I got the actual Blade showing up. So when I tell my story, it'll kind of make sense why there's two Blades in it. So Blade's the original, and let's just say John David Washington's the son of Snipes' character. I got Loki involved with this. Tom Hiddleston, Loki, Mobius, or Morbius, Jared Leto from the new movie coming out. And I got Deacon Frost in it, and I got Leo playing Deacon Frost. So I'll get into my story, but those are all the main people. I just want Tarantino to do Blade because I think he hasn't done vampires, he hasn't done horror, and I think he might do a really good job of Blade because I got no hope for the new one coming out.
All right, and you, John?
Well, I decided to do an original piece, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I decided to go with a Tarantino kind of flavor type of thing of his old style way of doing things. I call it Gypsy.
Okay.
And basically, you got Salma Hayek as Gypsy. You have Antonio Banderas. He's I just call him mariachi, which, typical thing. Then, of course, I got Alexa Wolf, played Margaret Robbie, who happens to be an assassin. Then I also have another person, though, too, named Misty Joe, played by Emma Stone, which is actually the sister of Alexa Wolf, who's actually like a stepsister. Then I also have Patch, played by Bradley Cooper, and then I also have another character played by Brad Pitt called Dutch. And then I also have a priest that's in this movie played by Brother Lomas. So,
yeah, okay.
Why not?
Why not?
So that's what I got.
All right. So before we go into storyline, there's one very, very important question I have for Charlie. Because even before hearing the story, I'm kind of turned off. So to maybe regain a bit my interest into your thing, could you explain me how something so detached from usually the Tarantino style, what Tarantino-isms would you bring to a Blade? Because for me, they don't mesh.
Mainly, the violence, because that's what Tarantino's at. So this movie, like I said, this is gonna be a hard R movie because I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a PG-13 Blade. It's the violence. It's really the Tarantino-esque, and then the dialogue's gonna be really good because you got really good actors in this, and he's worked with Leo before, so I think he's gonna be able to get the best out of Leo in this one as Deacon Frost.
Okay.
Mainly it's the violence, but I think I'll be able to sell you on my story, what really goes on.
Another question for you. And be realistic, like or not, is studio movies usually that control those kind of decisions. And for me, I need to know: are we talking what 80% CGI, 20% practical, 50-50? What is the route you're going for?
I'm not sure yet. I'm thinking maybe it's at least balanced, not a lot of
50-50.
CGI. But like that, I think Tarantino will be able to get it. He's going to work with Robert Rodriguez to get some input on how to do the violence and stuff. So this is going to be it's like kind of a team effort. So I would say 50-50, but lean more towards the realistic if possible. Again, I don't know how this would work, but I mean the storyline might be worth it. But then again, this is just my personal one. I want Tarantino to do Blade because I don't think anybody else can do Blade.
All right, so let's go to the storyline. Dagan, what's your pitch? And again, try to get 2 minutes, especially if I have a question after, okay?
Sure, yeah. So this is obviously 15, 20 years later after the events of Kill Bill Volume 2. BB, a.k.a. Beatrix Kiddo and Bill's daughter, has been training for years under the premise that there will be people that are coming after them because of all the people that she's killed along the way to eventually get her revenge to Bill at the end of the last movie. The other interesting thing is that she doesn't know that her mother killed her father. She thinks that her mother has told her that somebody else killed Bill. So that's going to be an interesting dynamic to sort of play off there. Plus, you have the daughter of Vivica A. Fox's character, Nikki, who's seriously out for revenge. I could see her and, as I said, Maya Hawke having a big battle to the death here. I could imagine also Uma Thurman's character being killed off. I don't think that she necessarily would want to have a huge role, that it's definitely going to be more focused on BB's story, the daughter's story, and sort of her people get. So the revenge role is kind of reversed a little bit. There's more people going after them, but then you also have this group of assassins led by the new version of Bill, which is Christoph Waltz.
All right, so it's more like kill the daughter of Uma Thurman's character. So it is a Kill Bill, but it's reversed. Like the backlash of 20 years of accumulation finally comes to a boiling point that they get attacked from multiple fronts.
Right.
So it's more a survival movie that focuses on the awesome skills that Uma Thurman's characters showed her, the daughter, along the years. Now I have a question for
Exactly.
you. Quentin Tarantino is a music man. So if there's one song that would lead the whole movie, like the theme song for the movie, which one would it be? To give me a bit of a...
Do you mean like a cover, like some licensed music that he might use, or the soundtrack itself?
No. Because the one song he would buy out for rights to really set the tone of the movie.
Sure. I can't think of a particular song off the top of my head that I would use, but I'm thinking like hard rock, sort of heavy edge song to sort of really like some really heavy like action, something that could be set to an action sequence. Because I figured this movie opening with some big action set piece battle between, maybe Maya Hawke's character and Uma Thurman fending off assassins or something like that. So almost like, I know it's been a little bit overused, but something kind of like Bad Reputation by Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. Something that's got a little sass, but also a heavier rock edge to it.
I would actually, again, this is not my pitch, but the first thing that came to mind was Bad Company from Bad Company. A bit slower,
yeah.
but interesting. All right, so on to the next. What's your pitch, Andrew?
So, as I said, it would be mostly a Scarface type story, but with Al Capone. So it's from the beginnings in his life of crime to building up to being a boss. You know, maybe you even cast. Sorry, I'm blanking on his name. Shoot, the guy who played Elliot Ness in The Untouchables.
Oh God, yeah.
Costner? Anyway, yeah, I think it was Costner. So you cast Costner in the same role, and then he ends up gunning Costner down, and nobody sees it coming. And then he escapes the tax evasion, maybe because he's always paid his taxes. I don't know, or maybe he just goes on the run. Actually, I think that's better. He goes on the run, flees jurisdiction, and just when you think he's safe and about to build his empire from just outside of Chicago, he gets gunned down by Bonnie and Clyde, played by Harvey Keitel and Uma Thurman, because that just sounds like something Tarantino would do.
Okay, and now almost the same question to you, but for me, the movie you're describing sounds very much like a soundtrack type of movie. Would you lean more into going not soundtrack, but like a music score, right? Would you go towards music score, or would you go towards the tradition of Tarantino putting in licensed music?
I think I'd go more in the Scorsese route, where you have that contrasting music to go with the big either action or death set pieces, where during the Valentine's Day Massacre, you got something completely contrasting as the music piece that makes it seem all peaceful while they're murdering everybody. So not quite the full score, but definitely contrasting music. So not like rock, but like, something maybe old school 50s or something in that Scorsese style.
All right. And what about you, Charlie?
Okay. Hopefully this works. I'm probably gonna lose this one, but anyway. So John David Washington's Blade. He's been doing this stuff a long time. He's on the hunt. He's been teaming with Whistler. Like, he bumped into him in his teenage years. Like, again, sort of how Wesley learned how to fight vampires. So Washington's been doing that, and he always keeps thinking, I can't believe my dad left me. So somehow something made the Snipes Blade leave that. So anyway, John David Washington's on the hunt for Morbius, and while he's there, he bumps into Snipes, and he goes, "What are you doing here?" in a sense. So anyway, and then right when they're about to get Morbius, Loki shows up and teleports Mobius out of the way. So Loki's plan is the ulterior motive. Loki wants to take over again. This is past TVA. Loki's like, you know what? I'm tired of losing. I'm doing, like, nobody can stop vampires. So Loki's trying to get a team of vampires or something like that, or some superhuman kind of characters, vampires. So he steals Mobius, and then he finds out it'd be like. So anyway, before that, Blade is tracking down Deacon Frost. Loki steals Deacon. So essentially, Blade and have to team up with his father to take out Loki and his team of vampires in a sense. And I think Leo's over the top performance. He'd be doing a lot of ad libs. Like, he'd probably smash his hand, like, kind of like, or he'd probably play it off like his hand gets cut off. But he's in the superhuman, like, kind of character from Blade 1, where he's like the immortal god. So he's like probably monologuing like why he's the best or whatever. So anyway, it's essentially Blade and his dad.
I'll be straight, Charlie. It sounds like a James Wan movie and less of Quentin Tarantino. I'm completely not sold at all.
I figured. I mean, it's fine. I mean, I wasn't going to steal like Kill Bill 3 because that was tempting, but I can't really do that. I mean, I personally want Tarantino to do Blade again. It's like because I don't want to do Star Trek. Like, I knew I wasn't going to win this one, but I just figured my cast would do it.
Okay, and what about you, John?
Okay, so as I mentioned before, this movie's called Gypsy. So basically, Gypsy's a sexy fortune teller with an attitude and traveling circus. But after telling the wrong fortune to the wrong person, Patch hires Dutch to shoot up the traveling circus. But they made one mistake. Gypsy's alive, and her abilities are more than just a fortune. She knows black magic on the other side of the, and then on top of that, this movie takes place in Mexico. So on the other side of Mexico, you actually have this other character that gets introduced, and that is the fact that you wind up seeing a cold-blooded killer that will kill you if the price is right, but she'll also bang you too, and that is actually Alexa Wolf, played by Emma Stone. And then after that, you wind up having this other pervy priest kind of playing by, of course, by Brother Lomas. Brother Lomas makes a comment about her ass. She goes, "Hey, a priest is not supposed to make a comment." He goes, "But yeah, but that ass is a blessing." And then, and then you also have, like I said before, you actually have Josh Hartnett, who's actually Billy Sanders. The reason why these people come together is because they want to actually kill Patch and everything. There's a revenge plot for all these characters, and basically Josh Hartnett winds up dying, and therefore there's a revenge plot for Margaret Robbie to go ahead and try and kill Patch for killing her boyfriend.
Okay, this it started off good, but it's a bit shaky at the end because right now the only thing that makes me remind it's like almost like a Mexican Kill Bill, right? It kind of feels like that, but I'm curious though, in what decade does this take place?
This is going to be kind of like the 70s, kind of 80s style, kind of action type thing, kind of like a Groundhouse kind of feel to it. I would actually have to put in Aerosmith's Come Together for this. This is like the Mexican version of Suicide Squad in a sense. You have Gypsy, who's actually who's into black magic. You actually have a revenge plot. It's kind of like Kill Bill meets Suicide Squad, basically.
Could you describe me how this movie ends? Who survives? Who dies? What happens? That's really important. That the last moments you will get out of the movie with.
So pretty much everyone pretty much dies, all except Gypsy. Gypsy's the last one who gets the last word in with it. When we finally get to Patch, she goes, "Yeah, I might have went on ahead and took out your eye, but now I'm gonna go." And then basically, I'm just gonna go in and take out the other eye.
Okay.
So she winds up taking out this snake with her black magic that she winds up enchanting, and then not only does she bites his eye out, but it also winds up going where it bites his balls too. So she actually removes his balls from him.
Okay.
So
that sounds like Tarantino.
Yeah, you're going out with a bang, that's for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll be straight. I have two contestants right now who's in the lead. And I want to just have a bit more information before I make my decision. Andrew Dagan. Andrew, I wasn't never thinking about a gangster movie, but it sounds like Scorsese. We know Tarantino, Scorsese, there's things that can mix in, right? So what is this not going to feel? Why is this not going to feel like a Scorsese movie?
The comedic element, especially with Capone, you can make a lot of height jokes. You can make a lot of other insulting humor, and because it's the mafia and not some other people that he's been insulting, it'll be more okay for him to do those kind of insults in today's society. So, but it'll definitely be a more comedic version of the mafia movie with the dialogue, because it's definitely going to have some of that fast spitting Tarantino dialogue to go with this mafia movie.
And you, Dagan, what's the underlining message in the movie? What's the main message point you would angle this movie about?
That revenge can sometimes consume a person to the point that they betray their own family. And that in order to not do that, to forgive to forgive your family member, even if they've done something so horrible that you want to kill them for it.
Interesting. Okay, so for me, the winner is Dagan. I never thought I'd be sold on a Kill Bill Volume 3, but when I realized it could be a reversal and survival, right? They're coming after them. It's the consequences. It sounds like a good way to end off Tarantino's career. The Kill Bill trilogy, if done correctly, could be a masterpiece. So yeah, Dagan, congratulations, you win. It's now tied Charlie and Dagan. Will we have a three-way tie, or will we actually have a winner? We'll see. Round 3, that impossible remake round. Now, I can see for certain people's faces, this was a hard one. for me, I wanted to choose a movie that you cannot recast, you cannot remake, but they're still going to try. And for me, that movie for today would be Die Hard. You keep exactly the same movie, same storyline, but you recast the movie with current actors, and also replace the director. We're going to start with John. How are you going to convince me? What did you choose?
I chose John McClane as Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Okay.
Then I got Jason Statham as Hans. Then I've got Holly played by Jennifer Aniston. Sergeant Powell played Daniel Kaluuya. Then I've got Kevin Hart playing Argyle.
Okay. How to make even more annoying character. Anyways.
And that's the only casting that I have.
And did you say a director?
Director, I'm going to go with Paul Feig.
Paul Feig. What did you do again?
Bridesmaids, The Heat.
Okay.
That
So
Ghostbusters movie that we do not speak
Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
it's out
That
yet.
was bad. Yeah.
No, the one with Melissa McCarthy and
Oh.
Christian Wiig.
Yeah.
I actually liked it a lot, to be honest. But okay, interesting. What about you, Charlie?
Okay. I had mine set up. If it's okay, could I do gender reversal?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have it opposite. I have Holly being the one that ends up having to save
Oh
the day.
no.
Oh.
It has to be same
Oh.
storyline.
Okay, never mind. So, if that's the case, I still have this cast. I have John Krasinski as John McClane. I got Emily Blunt as Holly.
Huh, interesting.
I have Ryan Reynolds as Argyle. I just figured that'd be kind of funny. He's the kind of comic relief. I have Jet Li as Takagi. I have Charlize Theron as the villain Hans. So yeah. So anyway, Jet Li was Takagi. He was the guy that's the owner of the Nakatomi Plaza.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Charlize Theron is Hans. I had Carl this set up in the gender reversal, but I had Anne Hathaway as Carl again because I was going the whole gender reversal anyway. I have Denzel and David Washington as Agent Johnson and Johnson, Special Agent Johnson. One guy's Big Johnson, the other one's Little Johnson. I have The Rock as Al Pal. I have Ellis, the guy, the bullshitter, Leo DiCaprio. I have Anthony Mackie as Theo,
Okay.
the tech guy. Keanu, I have is Dwayne Robinson. He's the guy's who's the guy in charge. He's the one that shows up before he gets his commando. And I have and then I was torn off, and I had Joe Pantoliano as Dick Thornburg, the announcer. But then again, this was all I had to know if I couldn't do gender reversal, but that's who I had cast because I was going to have Emily Blunt be the one that has to take on her counterparts of Anne Hathaway, getting her revenge from Devil Wears Prada. But yeah, that's my cast.
What about you, Andrew?
Okay, sorry. My director is Christopher Nolan.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Okay. So I figured the only way you're going to be able to remake this movie, even if you was the same story, make it a comedy. So I got McClane as Paul Rudd, Gruber as Tim Allen, the wife character as Tiffany Haddish, the one cast member, just to throw it, put some Schmodown in there. The jerk coworker guy is Whitney Seibold. I got Will Dickey as the limo driver. Kumail Nanjiani as the police officer that he's on the walkie-talkie with, and Jamie Foxx as the assistant to Hans, who's the computer bad guy hacker.
Yeah.
And then Shane Black directing.
Okay. And what about you, Dagan?
So I have, starring as John McClane, Dave Bautista, another wrestler actor there, similar to John. I have Rebecca Ferguson as Holly, his wife.
Okay.
I have Daniel Bruhl as Hans Gruber. I have
Who's
Keegan
that?
Michael. But Daniel Bruhl is the actor that's Zemo in the MCU. He's been in a bunch of other stuff too, but I
He
think
was
that's
the annoying kid in Inglorious Bastards, the one that kept pinned on the cinema person.
Yeah. So I have him as Hans Gruber. I have Keegan Michael Key as Argyle, and I have Keenan Thompson as Sergeant Al Powell, who I believe is the one that he's on the radio with. So that's a current casting I have so far, and this movie will be directed by Edgar Wright.
Nice pick on the director. Before I ask questions, this is one thing I wanted to cast myself, just for the heck of it. I think it's possible to make a Die Hard, but you have to bring a what the fuckness that will work, and that goes with the main casting of John McClane. I forgot his name, and I can't research it right now, but the SNL actor that just played in Suicide Squad that dies at the beginning.
Pete Davidson.
He he has the physique. He would have that interesting attitude, and that something different, but something that I could feel like a McClane, the sarcastic, why the fuck is this happening to me, type of attitude, but be badass at the same time. And have Hans Gruber, an actor that could pull it off because he's very theatrical, even though his race doesn't necessarily fit just a German. And that would be the bad guy from Breaking Bad, the first one that owns the chicken.
Giancarlo Esposito?
Yes. I would love to see him as a Hans Gruber, but that's just me. Now,
I had a whole serious actor list, and then I was like, wait, this won't work. Let me just make it a comedy. So what a completely different realm.
Well, okay, so we're heading like action comedy. Could you give me a description a bit of like how would that translate? Because you don't want to piss off the hardcore Die Hard fans, and you don't want to be like to the casual people who just see Die Hard the Christmas movie, So like how would you balance that out?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
So that's why I made it a comedy, actually, is because the Die Hard fans are going to be pissed off if you try to do it again the same way, which is kind of how they did. Sorry, what's the surfing movie? I'm blanking.
Point Break.
Point Break, yeah. You can't remake Point Break as the same movie and get the Die Hard fans on board. So what you got to do is you got to take a different take on it. So that's why I chose someone like Shane Black. I would have taken Edgar Wright, actually, but I had him for my Spider-Man, so I didn't want to have the same guy direct. But yeah, somebody who can do an homage to the genre while still doing a comedic version of the same movie. So you're still going to hit all the beats of, ho, 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 now I got a machine gun, the plot beats, and you're not going to go too crazy on the Hans Gruber death scene, like to make it like totally ridiculous. You're still going to have that be a solid death. But in between, you're just going to play up the comedy more about how ridiculous it is that this main character is going to take on a whole army of bad guys, and all he is this cop on his day off who doesn't even have a weapon. So, yeah, it's just going to be more, breaking the fourth wall in terms of the action.
And you, Charlie, I'm not sold on your Hans Gruber. Can you sell? Like, why do you envision your Hans Gruber?
So I envision this like as if this was the gender reversal, but I guess maybe Krasinski's character John McClane, even though he's committed to Emily Blunt, he's kind of a womanizer. So when he's kind of like a Bond in the sense that women were his weakness. So Charlize Theron is probably Hans. In sense, this is kind of the same idea, but Hans knows McClane in some capacity because there's a hookup in New York or whatever. And then they just happen to be, hence wrong place at the wrong time, like the story of like that. So anyway, that's how this goes, and all these people are like this. I just vision it because I think the chemistry, like Krasinski would play off well if Charlize Theron on the radio and all that good stuff. I was thinking the gender reversal, so I was just playing on the fly, but I think McClane's the womanizer in this one, so change it up a little bit. Instead of being the happily married man, he's pissed off because Emily Blunt's doing her career. Holly has her career, and she kind of like forgets about John in a sense. So McClane's like, well, screw this, I'm gonna fool around. And that's how he meets because Charlize Theron's character Hans isn't known as Hans for a while. Like she had a different name until she changed it to like, because after the relationship with McClane, and then this like just they have history. And this kind of changes the whole trajectory of the story a little bit.
And John, could you sell me on your John McClane, because I'm not sure either.
Okay, so basically, the John McClane that I have is more your built kind of John McClane. Basically, he's strong, he's got the charm, he's able to hold a conversation with people at the work and be a smartass at the same time, and stuff like that. And also, too...
Okay, I have a question for you then. The Rock did Inferno, which kind of felt like a
skyscraper.
Skyscraper. Yeah. It kind of felt like a wannabe Die Hard. So, what are you going to do to differentiate that shit-thinking movie with Die Hard?
With this one,
yeah.
Can't give him a prosthetic because he already had a prosthetic.
No,
this
I'm
one's
not doing
Die Hard on a
prosthetic.
skyscraper. Oh wait.
Pretty much, I'm not going to do a prosthetic or anything like that. But to be honest with you, he could probably try and use his charm in a way to try and negotiate with Hans in a sense, but also to not be... Also, to you remember that scene where you have John McClane and Hans actually meet up in that scene?
Yeah.
So basically, you would have The Rock and Hans meet up, but The Rock is not fully sold that this guy is who he says he is or anything like that, and not fully convinced. So The Rock is just bullshitting him the whole time about who he actually is, where he came from, and everything, just shooting the shit back and forth with him. And then that's when you wind up. Then once you get that going, then that's when you find out that that's actually Hans. And then The Rock winds up doing his witty comebacks on him and things like that, and just being a total smartass to him.
All right.
And then...
Yep. All right, so I pretty much have my winner. The winner is Andrew.
I mean, you can't go wrong with that comedy pitch, man. I think
At first, I was completely turned off, but then I realized what it was saying, and I was like, "Yeah, it would work. It would be probably the only way you could do it." So in that case, we have a 3-way tie. The way I want to break that tie, if not mistaken, is Charlie, Dagan, and Andrew. We're gonna do a 2-minute fast elimination round. I'm gonna pitch you a character you have to cast, and take around a minute, and the first one who's out will go until one person is left. So the first person I want you to cast would be if they would do its own universe movie about Batgirl. Who would you cast Charlie as Batgirl? You have a minute to think about if you need, or research on IMDb.
I would do Margot Robbie.
Okay, so you're doing an alternate version as Harley Quinn would be Batgirl.
Yeah, I would go with that. Yeah.
Okay, Andrew, you got a minute also to research if needed.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna need a couple of minutes here.
Dagan, are you researching not on your research time? You're researching. Hands up, sir. Hands up.
You know, I'm gonna go Abigail Breslin.
Who's that?
Or I think I said the right one. The one from the girl from Zombieland.
Yes, Abigail Breslin.
Yeah.
The youngest one. Yeah.
All right, and what about you, Dagan? Now you can research.
Anya Taylor-Joy. There's no other answer here. She's like the most sought after actress in Hollywood right now. There's no way in hell she's not going to just absolutely crush it as Batgirl. So it's Anya Taylor-Joy for the win here, guys. I think we're pulling up Abigail. Attempting to pull up Abigail Breslin. But yeah.
No, she's the one that's in the Marvel one, the mutants.
Yeah.
Spell her name for me real quick.
Oh, Anya Taylor-Joy, yes. She was also in Queen's Gambit.
Yeah, I know. I'm just making sure that she's in that universe, not that universe.
Yeah.
I would have to eliminate the ASG. Sorry, bro. All right, it's between Charlie and Dagan. Now, if you would have to cast... if you have to recast Bonnie and Clyde, who would you recast in current actors of the same age? I will start with you, Charlie. No, sorry. Since I started with you, Dagan, you can start researching. You have 2 minutes.
Okay, so I can research and pitch at the same time, is what you're
Yes.
saying. And I guess a follow-up question: are we basing this on like the actual story? Right, we're basing like the real life story of Bonnie and Clyde.
Your version. If you
more...
want Bonnie and Clyde to be 2 guys, it could be 2 guys if you want to.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay,
just your casting.
Okay, so for Bonnie, I'm gonna go with Karen Gillan, another excellent sort of up and come. I don't know if you call her up and coming actress, but yeah, she's been on the scene a bit recently. And then for Clyde, I am going to go with. Let's see. Do I have a time limit here?
You got 30 seconds.
Okay, I got 30 seconds. Let's see. I will go with Michael Fassbender.
Okay.
So it's Michael Fassbender as Clyde and Karen Gillan as Bonnie.
What about you, Charlie?
I would do. They're married in real life. I would do Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively.
Charlie, you win.
Yeah.
Charlie, you win, bro.
Damn it.
Back-to-back winner to Frenchie's game.
I should have just gone with the easy one, Krasinski and Emily Blunt, right? I mean, come on. Isn't that the obvious?
I chose those two because the two of them, they bullshit each other because Blake Lively's the only one that could put up with Ryan Reynolds, and they just would banter of each other. But Blake Lively, she's pretty enough to play Bonnie, and Ryan Reynolds is that. Yeah. So I mean, they're still young too. Because I was first thinking Margaret Robbie and Leo from that, but I was like, no, let me go Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. Those two would just be perfect.
Well, you are the winner of Frenchie's movie Mogul first edition. All right. Well, thank you very much for letting me do the mad scientist on the game. I actually had a lot of fun doing this.
Yeah,
it was fun. I realize now another real life couple should have gone with Michael Fassbender, who I picked for Clyde, and Alicia Vikander, his real life wife. So again, I think the real life couples always win these debates.
I would have gone with the real. If you're going real life couples, I would have gone with Colin Yost, but.
No, Colin Jost would not be able to act. He can't even act out of a bag. I'm sorry. I mean, Colin Jost, like his performance in Tom and Jerry is enough for me to say, leave the acting for your wife. Just stop.
Just stick with Weekend Update. Just stay with Weekend Update. You don't need to do anything else. You already got Scarlett Johansson. Come on, man.
No, John, I'm sorry I had to do that. Charlie's head's going to be so big now. It's going to be like, I'm the winner of every game.
Trust me, you should saw him today whenever I asked him if he wanted to do it.
I mean, I thought that person, when John told me we were doing the game, I thought it was going to be the trivia one.
I have different games. Yeah. Like I like to bring different things, but that definitely is going to come back.
Yeah, I know. But it's like, I mean, the Spider-Man one, I was just throwing that one out there. I didn't think that would be that well, but I just picked up. Oh yeah, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. That'd be perfect. So.
But my favorite concept of all is really the Kill Bill Volume 3.
Yeah,
there's an image in my head. It's you can do also a comic book version, like not comic book version, but a scene a bit like an anime again, but updated with today's anime. I don't. There's something so. I don't know how to say this. It fits so well with the concept. You have the action, you have like the offense. Now you see the defense of Kill Bill. You know, I like it.
Yeah, and I think having Maya Hawke in there as sort of the main focus. I know that Tarantino has brought up that like it almost feels like that's maybe his most likely movie if he were to do like. You know, if it's between that and Star Trek and like a remake of Reservoir Dogs, I feel like he's going to lean towards maybe finishing that trilogy and going with Kill Bill Volume 3. And he's mentioned that he wants to have Maya Hawke in there as the lead. So, I mean, if you can look it up, like Quentin Tarantino in interviews has stated that he definitely wants to do that. Yeah. So I feel like that's maybe his most likely.
I just assume for Volume 3, if they did a Volume 3, it would be.
I read that too.
Girl of that Uma Thurman killed in the first one. That she says, "Like, come back when you see that it would go off of that."
I mean,
Yeah.
I read that too. That Maya Hawke would be the option to play the daughter. Because I think Tarantino has been wants to remedy the relationship between him and Uma Thurman,
Right.
because he almost killed her on set of Kill Bill Volume 2.
My approach, by the way, of Quentin Tarantino would have been not the actual movie, but have the style of a Starship Trooper, but have like a Quentin Tarantino feel to it.
Well, doesn't he want to do a Star Trek?
No, Star Trek
Troopers.
Trooper.
Starship Troopers. No,
Yeah,
Star
I know you
Trek.
said Starship Troopers, but I'm just saying I think there's actual in the ether that he had one time done a.
There were talks. He wanted to use the newer cast, but have it be set in the original timeline. He didn't understand all the time travel stuff, and it seemed like the project eventually just got shelved because it wasn't anything that the studio was going to follow through on.
All right. Well, okay. I'm pretty much done on my end, John.
Okay. So, Andrew, where can everybody follow you at if they want to go ahead and follow you and all that other good stuff?
So my Twitter is agolds82. You can find me sometimes writing editorials for the Let's Get Ready Network, and I believe I'm going to be on Speaking of Schmodown next week.
Okay. And Daigon, where can everybody follow you and all that other stuff?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at DaganSB. That's at DAGANSB. I also am now part of the Let's Get Ready Network crew, and me and Corey Cameron do our Schmodown show every Sundays at 5:30 Eastern, twitch.tv/LGR Network. And so we just did today's show right before I came on and did this show, so definitely go and check that out on Twitch. We also put it up on YouTube, and it's available on stereo as well. And next week, we got Chandru on, so that's going to be a good, fun time. So you can definitely make sure to check that out.
Okay. And I just want to thank you both of you for coming onto the show as well and doing this and everything. It was a blast doing this.
Very last minute, but Andrew and Dagan, like usual, pick up the last minute and bring a good show. So again, thank you, boys, for being a reliable guest source.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
It really does mean a lot. You're welcome. You guys are always welcome here. I just want to let you know that.
Awesome. And, appreciate it.
You're
Except
very welcome.
Me, right? Who needs a French person?
Hey, you're always welcome, Frenchie. We always miss you around here. I'll tell you that.
Well, I have an announcement. I just changed jobs from a 9 to 5 Monday to Friday, so you'll be seeing me a lot more. I have time to breathe and podcast now.
Congratulations.
Awesome, man. Congratulations on that. So, Frenchie, where can everybody follow you at and all that other good stuff?
Well, since I'm back on the podcast side of things, you can find me definitely on Schmozer North, my channel. We had Schmodown things. We have Mount Schmodown, which John is on, actually. We also have Schmodown Night in Canada. But we have other shows like the Square Slice, our wrestling show. We also have Tacos. Let's tackle about Star Wars with none other than Gold Leader himself and many other shows. So do not miss that out. And also do not miss, speaking of Schmodown, Saturdays with my man Jay Wade, Dagan, and ASG. You've been often on it. And I'm sorry if we caused you to take Advils and shit because we scream a lot, but it's very fun, very passionate. There's a lot of controversy and I love it. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
Okay, and you guys can always go in and follow me at Movie Lovers TV Lovers Channel on Facebook and on Instagram, and as well as on Pinterest underneath that same brand name. Another thing too is tomorrow I have A-Town reviews, and we're going to be reviewing They Live, the John Carpenter movie that came out in 1988. So we're going to be reviewing that tomorrow at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific Time.
All out of bubblegum.
So we're going to be reviewing that and Kick-Ass and Time to Chew Bubblegum. So then also too, you guys can go on ahead, smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. And another thing too, we're actually doing this as I teamed up with Two Blur Girls podcast, and we're actually doing a charity with St. Jude's Children's Hospital. So if you want to buy yourself a Scentsy or anything like that, all the proceeds go over to St. Jude's Hospital. So you guys can go on ahead and do that by following the link below.
And and he's going to be modest, but I'm going to have to say it. He shared recently some picks. He's in a top 5 indie podcast right now for movies. So his podcast is picking up. If you're not subscribed to his audio podcast, do not miss a thing, because he's on multiple platforms and it is reaching the top. So, John, congratulations. You worked hard on this. You deserve to be in the top.
So did Charlie, though, too. Charlie also worked on it as well. So it's
No,
not
you're
just
good.
me.
Like some new competitions coming in there trying to take our top spot, but once I got this belt here, not happening.
You know what? They're still not even there on our level yet either.
No,
they haven't even. They're all the way down in probably at the hundreds. But anyways, but you know, if you guys want to go on. Yes,
watch they come up to the top, John. We gotta keep our A game up.
Exactly, man. Exactly. We got this, though. We got this. But you know what, guys? This is what you guys can do for us. Go over to Good Pods. That's where you can actually rate us, give us comments, and also too, it gives us a chance to chat back and forth to everybody too that actually rates our podcast and also rates our episodes. We can actually talk to each other. This is what I like about that over Apple Podcasts. Apple Podcasts, you just leave a rating and then, or you can go on ahead and write something down, but you don't have that whole entire deal where you can actually communicate with somebody else on the other side and say, hey, look, you might be missing some areas in this area. Let me try and help you. Or I didn't like this episode as much, but can you give us some of this? So It gives me a ballpark figure of what we're looking at. Also, too, go ahead, get your podcast where you guys get your podcast from. You can also follow me on Twitter at Movie Lovers Unit over there. If you're a sponsor or would like to sponsor a show, just go ahead and email me at movieloversunite@gmail.com. And also, too, we lost our domain, but don't worry, we're going to be back up and running pretty soon with our domain for our website. But right now, we're at movieloversunite.com/Wix, and that's where you can actually follow me at. And that's everywhere they can find me at Movie Lovers Unite. Always until next time, guys. It's been real. It's been fun. I can't wait to do this again. Thank you guys so much for being on the show as always. And bye-bye.